técnica muy tonta a confundir la cultura con la producción de libros, que sería mi tarea, yo hago libros, o de obras de teatro, o de cuadros en las galerías, ¿verdad? Las exposiciones, bueno, todo eso es cultura también, pero la cultura es sobre todo el sistema de símbolos que la gente crea para comunicarse y para identificarse. Y el fútbol forma parte de ese sistema de símbolos, y de qué manera, hay que ver. A mí siempre me llena de estupor cómo cuando se hace una historia del siglo XX no se menciona el fútbol. Las historias del siglo XX rara vez mencionan al fútbol, y el fútbol es un protagonista fundamental.
The elaborate pre-season rituals in Calcutta, India. Football has reached out to diverse societies where few shared cultural references exist. Yet football cultures remain distinct, reflecting the characteristics of individual countries. Once known as the Gold Coast, Ghana is the most successful footballing nation within Africa, a nation where politics have helped mold a distinct football culture. It was on these shores that the colonialists first landed, setting up their capital at Cape Coast. Ghana's first club, Excelsior, was born here in 1903. They no longer exist, though the Cape Coast mysterious dwarfs, their modern incarnation, still use the site where Excelsior used to play. Instead, it is the Hearts of Oak who are the oldest surviving club in Ghana, indeed, in the whole of West Africa. The British founded the Gold Coast Football Association in 1922, but tournaments were restricted to Cape Coast, Kumasi, and here in the new capital, Accra, where Hearts dominated the City Championship Cup. Under the patronage of the colonial elite, the locals were often left to run football, though what the British saw as developments, such as the introduction of boots, didn't always go down too well.
When we started playing football, we were not using boots, we were playing barefooted. And when we started using football boots, you know what? We play in the boots the first half. The second half, we felt uncomfortable, so we threw the boots away.
Reminders of British rule remain. But as the first African country south of the Sahara to achieve independence, Ghana was once the center of black African consciousness. Football was very much part of realizing the dreams of a united Africa. As one of Africa's most historic clubs, Hearts of Oak, or the Phobia, as the team are known, played an important role in defining the culture that makes football in Ghana so distinctive. They were the first national champions in 1958, and along with arch rivals Asante Kotoko from Kumasi, became a feared name across the continent. Their training facilities, an uneven patch of dusty communal land they have used for over 40 years, may not match those of their European or South American rivals. But in Ghana, club sides have the same dedicated following as elsewhere, despite the huge exodus of players to Europe. In the early 1960s, they were faced with an exodus of an entirely different nature. When President Kwame Nkrumah created his own team, the Real Republicans, he commandeered a number of Hearts players. For Nkrumah, football had become an important political tool.
Stanley Matthews, the ageless wizard, takes the field once again. But in case you hadn't noticed, it's not Blackpool he's playing for this time. The scene is Accra Stadium, and his teammates are the Hearts of Oak, Ghana's leading side. Over the bar, but never mind. In a few minutes, Stanley's back again, as slippery as ever. A teammate grabs the pass, the goalie runs out, but he dodges him, and the goal's wide open. All the spectators are cheering for Stanley, the uncrowned king of soccer. Uncrowned? The hearts of oak soon put that right.
The visit of Matthews in 1957 coincided with Ghana's independence celebrations. Led by Nkrumah, Ghana helped stoke the fires of independence across the continent.
And who is Osadifu Dr. Kwame Nkrumah? Yes. The president. No, I will take this, yes.
The first president.
The first president of Ghana. Clap for him.
Nkrumah saw football as a political tool to galvanize the whole of Africa. And he thought if he could use football to get the African people together, it could help him spread his policy of United States of Africa.
On such a diverse continent, football was a transcending factor.
You are watching the scene which may well be historic. The date, December 1958. The place, Accra, Ghana. The occasion, the rallying of people from the whole continent to discuss what may become a new USA, a United States of Africa.
Football was a means of expressing unity against the colonial powers and against internal divisions such as tribalism. Nkrumah was leading Africa towards a brave new world, and football was at the heart of his plans.
Forward then, to independence. To independence now. Tomorrow, the United States of Africa.
Before 1961, the Black Stars, as the Ghanaian national team are known, had been coached by Europeans. As part of his plan to Africanize national life, Nkrumah brought back Charles Gyamfi, who was playing in Germany for Fortuna Düsseldorf, to become national coach. He and the players all had direct access to the head of state.
Being a star within the Black Star, I can always go to him without even making an appointment. I go to him. If I'm in need of anything, I go to him and tell him.
The Black Stars became the ambassadors of Ghana, spreading Nkrumah's gospel of Pan-Africanism.
I remember in 1965, during the Kenya's Independence Day, we were asked to go to Kenya and exhibit the Ghana brand of football in those days. On Sunday, when we met them, we beat them 13 goals to nil. A Kenya national team. And Jomo Kenyatta was there. A very nice independence present for Jomo Kenyatta.
At this time, the progress of the Black Stars reflected Ghana's economic and political dominance of the continent. When Ghana hosted the African Cup of Nations in 1963, the Black Stars were a shining example to the rest of Africa. Gyamfi, the only black African coach in the competition, Aggrey Finn, the first of 4 Black Star captains to lift the Nations Cup. Brimming with confidence, the Black Stars traveled to Tunisia to defend their African title 2 years later, meeting the hosts in the final. Nkrumah had personally promised new houses to the Black Stars if they secured a second African championship, which they did.
In 1965, I was the footballer of the year. I was